Amina and the heart of the forest. In a small quiet village named Nkyene, nestled beside a dense ancient forest, there lived a young girl named Amina. Nkyene is a peaceful place. Thatched roofs of earthen-toned huts, clay huts topped with grass roofs, dot the landscape, blending harmoniously with the red soil and tall grasses. The village's houses are arranged in a circular formation around an open space. At the village center, a grand Baobab tree, as old as time itself, its branches stretching wide like arms that embrace the whole community. Beneath its shade, a gathering spot for daily life and important ceremonies. The people in the village gather, share tales of wisdom, stories of warning, and whispers of mystery that keep the children's imaginations wild and wide-eyed. It's here, beneath the baobab's branches, that they speak of the forest. Nkyene was no ordinary village. It was a place of strong traditions and beliefs, and the forest nearby stretches into shadows unknown. It looms just beyond, thick with towering mahogany and odum trees, their leaves rustling like whispers in the wind. While the forest provides resources, it wasn't just a bunch of trees, it was a place of mystery, a place to be respected, even feared. The people of Nkyene believed the forest was alive. Many stories are shared during the evening gatherings under the baobab, tales passed down for generations, speaking of the beings that guard the forest. Spirits, animal guides, and ancient ones are said to watch over it. They said it had creatures that were neither animal nor human, but something in between. The villagers often whispered about the forest's secrets. They said it was full of wonders but also dangers, things no one could understand. Even the bravest men stayed near the edge, careful not to wander too far in. In fact, no one dares venture beyond its edges without a reason. But Amina was different. At the break of dawn, the village is quiet in the early light. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of earth, as the people in the village begin their day. Amina, only 16 years old, is awake before the sun fully rises. Her eyes are wide with wonder, filled with the spirit of adventure and curiosity. She has skin the color of rich earth, dark and smooth, and her hair is carefully braided, decorated with tiny, colorful beads that catch the morning light. With a spark in her eyes, a mind always eager for discovery and boundless energy that often pulls her toward the forest's edge. Amina is unlike other children. She loves to ask questions, and she's always found close to the edge of the forest, staring into the endless maze of trees. At 16, she had a curious heart and a mind that longed for adventure. She loved exploring the world around her, asking questions, and learning new things. She has a special bond with her mother, Adoma, the village healer. Adoma is a woman known for her wisdom and kindness, and well respected for her knowledge of herbs and plants that she collects from the outskirts. She knew the names of every herb, every root, and every leaf that could heal or soothe. Amina often accompanies her, learning about the plant's healing properties and marveling at her mother's wisdom. Her big, bright eyes always sparkled when her mother told her stories, especially stories about the forest. And it is from her that Amina first learns of the forest's gifts. Adoma tells stories to caution her, about those who went too deep and never returned, about the spirits who guard the forest's secrets. But Amina's curiosity always overpowers her fear. The forest calls to her in a way she can't explain, and she often finds herself wondering what mysteries lie within. Every day, Amina would go with her mother to the edge of the forest to gather plants. Her mother would teach her about each one, describing the way it looked, smelled, and felt. But she never let Amina go beyond the edge of the trees. "This is close enough," she would say, her voice gentle but firm. "The forest is not a place for children to wander." One day, as Amina was helping her mother sort herbs in their small hut, she heard her mother sigh. Adoma looked worried. "Why do you look sad, Mama?" Amina asked. Her mother only shook her head. "There are things you don't yet need to know, my child. You are still young." But Amina wanted to know everything. She often asked about the forest, hoping her mother might tell her its secrets. Her mother would smile, shake her head, and say, "The forest is older than any of us. It has its own ways. We take only what we need and never more. This is why we respect it, Amina." On another day, as Amina helps her mother pick leaves from a medicinal tree at the forest's edge, she asks, "Mama, what lies beyond where we can see?" Her mother pauses, her fingers delicately pressing a leaf. "Beyond here, my child, lies the forest's heart. The spirits live there, and it is not a place for children." She glances at Amina, her gaze softening. "Not everyone who enters returns. The forest must be respected." Despite the warnings, Amina's curiosity only grows. The stories Amina heard from others only made her more curious. She heard the village elders talk about the forest, about strange plants that glowed at night, creatures that only came out in the shadows, and secrets that no one dared to speak of. She listens eagerly whenever the village elders discuss the forest. One evening, as the villagers gathered under the great Baobab tree in the village center, she overhears Elder Kwame, the oldest man in the village, speaking of a legendary plant that glows in the deepest part of the forest, a herb capable of curing the most incurable ailments, known as the heart of the forest. He spoke slowly, his voice low and wise. "There is a plant," he began, "hidden deep in the forest. It is called the heart of the forest. They say it shines with a light of its own. This plant, if you can find it, can cure any illness, no matter how bad. It's said to have a powerful spirit of its own, granting life to those it deems worthy." The villagers gasped, for they had never heard of such a plant. Amina's heart beat faster. She could picture it in her mind, a glowing plant in the heart of the forest. But then Elder Kwame's voice turned serious. "Many have gone looking for it, but none have returned. The forest keeps its secrets, and it does not let go easily." Amina's heart races as she imagines this miraculous plant. She was spellbound. A strange feeling filled her chest, as if she were meant to find this plant, as if it were calling her. The story plants a longing deep within her, a spark that refuses to fade. The thought of seeing the forest's mysteries with her own eyes grows stronger with each passing day. But she said nothing, keeping her thoughts to herself. The forest was a place to be feared, after all. Or so everyone said. One night, a sudden and terrible thing happened. Elder Kwame, who had shared the tale of the luminous herb, fell very ill. His breathing was shallow, and his skin grew pale. No remedy seems to ease his suffering. The village healers tried everything they knew, but nothing helped. His condition worsened, and the villagers began to lose hope. The people of Nkyene loved Elder Kwame deeply, a pillar of wisdom. He is wise and kind, and he had watched over them for years. The villagers are stricken with grief, their hope diminishing as they try every known cure. Amina's mother is among the healers tending to him, her brow furrowed in worry as she mixes remedies and administers them with gentle hands. But none seemed to work. Amina watched her mother care for him, worry written all over her face. She felt helpless, wishing there was something she could do. Then she remembered the story of the heart of the forest, the plant that could heal anything. Her heart began to race. Watching her mother's sorrow, Amina feels a surge of determination. She thinks of the heart of the forest, the powerful herb Elder Kwame described, and a small voice within her urges her to find it. What if she could find it? She could save Elder Kwame. She knew it was dangerous, but something inside her felt stronger than her fear. That night, as the moon rose high above, Amina went to her mother. "Mama," she said, her voice steady, "let me go into the forest. Let me find the heart of the forest. It might save Elder Kwame." Her mother's eyes filled with fear. "No, Amina. The forest is too dangerous. There are spirits, creatures, and places unknown. You are just a child. You don't know the dangers, Amina. The forest is not kind to those who enter without permission. But Amina's resolve is unwavering and her face is full of determination. I may be young, but I am strong, she said. You've taught me how to find herbs, how to listen to the trees, how to respect the forest. I can do this. Seeing the strength in her daughter's eyes, Adoma finally agreed with a reluctant nod, though her heart was full of worry. She packed a small pouch of food and a water flask. Pressing her hand on Amina's shoulder, she handed them to Amina. Listen to the forest, Amina. Respect it, and it may protect you, she said with a soft voice, full of love and caution. And so, as dawn broke, Amina, with a deep breath, steps into the shadows of the forest, her heart pounding with fear and excitement. A world of green and shadow swallows her. She feels dwarfed by the trees, their ancient roots twisting and arching above the ground. The air is thick, damp with the scent of moss and earth, and the sounds of distant animals fill the silence. Amina walks slowly, each step careful, as if she is entering a sacred place. The forest was alive. The sounds of birds, insects, and rustling leaves surrounded her, filling her with both wonder and unease. The deeper she went, the thicker the trees grew, their branches stretching high above her, casting shadows everywhere. The air smelled of earth and moss, and as she walked, Amina noticed how everything around her seemed different. The sunlight barely touched the ground here. It felt as if the forest itself was keeping her hidden from the world. As she walked, she tried to remember everything her mother had taught her. She recognized some plants, the ones near the village edge, by their scents and textures, whispering their names to herself. She finds a bush of cantamire, known for its healing leaves, and a cluster of akokojaya leaves, famous for calming fevers. She touches them, feeling comfort in the familiarity, but soon, everything around her became strange, unfamiliar. Amina was both frightened and fascinated. She touched the leaves, smelled the flowers, and let her fingers run along the rough bark of the ancient trees. But as she moved deeper, she began to feel watched. The sunlight fades, filtering in faint patches through the dense canopy. Shadows dance around her, creating an almost otherworldly feel. She has the growing sense that the forest is watching her, assessing her intentions. The stillness makes her heart pound, yet a strange calmness keeps her moving forward. It was a feeling she couldn't explain, a strange sense that she was not alone. She stopped, listening, her heart thumping in her chest. The forest had gone quiet. Even the birds had stopped singing, leaving only the soft rustling of leaves overhead. Her pulse quickens as she senses a presence. She stops and scans the area, straining her ears. Every instinct urges her to remain silent and alert. Suddenly, she heard a soft rustling behind her. Her breath caught as she turned, half expecting to see some shadowy figure watching her. But there was nothing. Just the thick underbrush and shadows shifting with the wind. The silence presses in, amplifying every small sound. Her skin prickles with the strange sensation of being observed, yet she tells herself it is just her imagination. Taking a deep breath, she steadies herself, calming her racing thoughts. Stay calm, Amina, she told herself, her mother's words echoing in her mind. Respect the forest. She took a deep breath and kept walking. Amina presses on, moving cautiously. The further Amina went, the stranger things became. Soon, she began to notice plants that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, their colors bright against the darkness. The air felt heavier, almost thick with an unseen energy. She knew she was close to something, but she wasn't sure what. Then, without warning, she heard a soft crunch of leaves behind her. Before she can turn, a large shadow emerges from the underbrush. And there, part 1 ends, leaving us with Amina alone in the heart of the woods, unaware of what might be watching her from the darkness. What awaits her as she ventures further? Will she escape the forest, or is she about to face something unimaginable? Find out in part 2. Just tap the link at the top right corner to continue the adventure and uncover what lies ahead for Amina.